Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, sorry. We are back again, and the men are ready. We are ready to give you round two of what happened last week. I know you would have enjoyed yourselves, and you have your questions ready, and you would have been back and forth with some of the things that we have said. However, we are about to wrap it up tonight. And as you can see, myself and my co-host Isaac, we dressed in our club t-shirts. So if you are home and you have your club t-shirts, just give a pat. If you're representing Chelsea, big up to you. If you're representing Arsenal, you have my sympathy. Any other team, you know. However, we're gonna start with a word of prayer. We're gonna start with a word of prayer, and then we're gonna get straight into action. Okay, let's pray, please. Heavenly Father, this evening we are grateful for this wonderful opportunity whereby we can come together as men on a positive note. We can come together as black men and open up to our fellow black men so that information can pass down. The opportunity that we did not have as young black men, we want to pass this opportunity to our fellow black men so that they would not suffer some of the consequences we suffered because we didn't have sufficient information. I pray, oh God, that somebody would leave here today with a better understanding of how to act, how to present, how to defend, how to represent strong black men in their homes, how to show example to their black children so that when they become men themselves, they would be able to say, I saw this, I heard this from my father, and this is something I want to take into my family also. I pray that your Holy Spirit would be with all those people at home, all those who do not have people to visit them, those who are in need of whatever they are in need of, those who are of last loved ones, who are bereaved at the moment. I pray for all those, oh God, and especially I pray for our young people. Only you know the strain. We adults cannot exactly identify because the things that they are facing now are completely different to the things that we had.
System analysis.
So with that, Lord, I ask that you would intervene, create in us clean hearts and renew right spirits within us. In your precious name I pray. Amen.
Items, which can be critical to your
Amen.
Windows.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for that, Leonard. Thank you for that, Leonard. Yes, welcome everybody. Welcome. So firstly, I would just like to say we are currently missing Mr. Adam Greaves, but he does send his apologies. He will join us as soon as he can. So yes, last week was a great conversation, gents. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it when the ladies joined us as well. But last week was quite interesting. People were pretty transparent. They shared their truths, they shared their history, they shared their past, their current situations as well. We spoke about growing up having absent fathers ourselves, or growing up knowing our fathers and then for whatever reason our fathers becoming distant. We shared various things. We shared about the impact of fatherhood and our proudest moments. So just to quickly recap, Roger, I know you weren't with us last week, but even if you've had a chance to, watch it back over from last week, just share a quick line about last week for yourself, just quickly, and then we'll go on to Melvin.
Yeah, last week was pretty interesting. It just happened that I didn't get to participate as much as I wanted to, but I was hearing most of the conversation anyway between the different men that were speaking, and knowing that I could relate to some of the issues that were being, mentioned there. I understand. You give me a better understanding.
Yeah.
Sort of coming to the realization that we all go down certain roads, and then this thing started out. Some of us get messed up, and then we realize, further on, what was wrong, and then what we can do to make it better. So, I learned something from last week. I learned that my brothers, all of us are there's nobody who's like perfect, whether you grew up in the church or not. You're gonna mess up at some point. You're just not gonna get it right. But I can hear it coming from the guys that all of us were willing to say where we go wrong, we're willing to improve, to make it better, so that
Thank
we
you.
can be better fathers to our children, and in society, that we can be set examples for them to come. So yeah, I think it was a very good and interesting convo last week.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that, Roger. Melvin, please quickly share with us something from last week. Something small.
Right, I will try my best to give you something simple. Actually, what I was impressed about is that all of us who were here last week seem to have something in common regarding our background, where we were raised, and to do with our fathers. And sometimes you think you're on your own, but then in cases like this, you come to understand that sometimes others actually experience the same things. So, and we also learn about the different experience that we had with our fathers, and what mold us to be what we are.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing. Mr. Orlando, I'm coming to you, sir. Yes. Yes, just give us a quick snippet about last week, something that was a takeaway for you.
Yeah, I kind of went into the discussion thinking, actually, haven't really thought about much about fatherhood. And actually, through the discussion, I just kind of discovering, I kind of appreciate thoughts I've had about it and opinions I've had. Even just before this bit earlier, I kind of got me thinking about a lot of things. What I say, just good, just hearing the variety of experiences. And actually, I think I appreciated quite a bit I appreciated the actual event, men coming together in a supportive way, talking about these things. And I felt like, this is a good thing. Sometimes I might look at these things a bit like, not really encourage these things, but actually experiencing it was really good.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Riley, I'm coming to you next, sir. Can you share with us, please, something that was a takeaway for you from last week?
Afternoon, everybody. As a man, as a father, we are always learning and always willing to listen to others, because you can always take something new from someone else. So hearing everyone speak, you can hear the backgrounds, the different figures, examples they've had. So I'm always listening to what people are saying, so I can try and better myself as a father, as a husband, as a man. I appreciate everyone's feedback, everyone's comments, and always trying to take the positive in everything.
Thank you. Last but not least, my co-host, Mr. Leonard Boise. Let's go ahead. What did you take away from last week, sir?
I took away quite a lot, actually. One of the things I was looking at is that I'm sure there are a lot of older men or even younger fathers who are looking at this program and saying, I wish I had this talk before, or I wish somebody was as open as this to me before, letting me know that what I'm going through is normal. What I'm going through, I'm not the first or the only person to go through what I'm going through. Mm-hmm. And also to think that, there are people out there to whom I can ask advice.
Right. Got you.
And as the men ministry leader, these are some of the ideas that I had in mind.
Okay.
And, some of the ideas, because I looked around. I've been around for a while, and I've looked around and I've noticed that is one of the things that we are lacking. Right. We're not passing. We passing on culture only, and most of our culture does not reserve that gap for passing on information.
Yeah, I've got you.
You gotta do what you gotta do, man. This work, this don't work, or we have this thing where men don't cry out.
Right.
Men don't complain if something is going wrong. So I'm home and I'm suffering, and Rolando, I can see everything is going well with him and his children, and I'm here punishing, and I'm like, I can't approach Rolando. I can't approach Rolando because that's not what we do. You understand? But now, and what I'm much comfortable with now, after this,
Yeah, bro.
I'm certain that men are going to feel that encouragement. They're going to feel that openness. They're going to feel that inclination to know what? I can support Isaac.
I hear you.
Go out to church and find out how is it that his boys, what did he do with his boys? What is this father doing with this girl? Because I have a girl now and I'm not getting it right.
Right. Let me just cut it there, right? Because what you're saying is resonating with me, right? Do you know what I took away? Before I go on to the first question, which I'm going to ask, and Rolando, I'm going to come straight to you because there's something you said, right, which I want to touch on.
Yeah.
But what I took away last week was interesting. Usually, I have this. So you know when you're sending information out, right? Sometimes you send it out and you target specific people, right? You target, and I was thinking, shall I target this group on my WhatsApp? And I thought, let me just target them. It's a group of boys that I play football with. And I thought, of course I'm going to do this. And I sent it to them. And it was a response that I got back that hit me. And I was just like, why am I hesitant to do this? And the response was, bro, I love this. I love what you lot are doing, right? Because there is a gap, a necessity. Like what Leonard's talking about, there is a gap, a necessity for this, for black fathers to step up. Yeah. There is a gap, a necessity. So that's what I took away from last week. So Rolando, what I want to come to you about is something you said. So here's my first question to you, sir. You mentioned just now not really thinking about fatherhood. Yeah. Right? Right. You might have said it loosely, but that's
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So then the question that I've got, ironically, is what type of father did you think you would have been? And do you feel you're fulfilling that?
I would have been in what sense? Like if I...
So before you was a father...
Oh, right,
So before you was a father, what type of father did you think you would have been? Do you
that's a good one.
Very active, very present in your child's life. One that's maybe a bit standoff, a bit distant. One that's very involved, very overprotective.
Got you.
And has it come to fruition?
No, So I must say, like, I kind of said it last week. I didn't really have a big vision of what I'd be like, but and it's not something I really thought about. Maybe not really consciously, but then when I thought back, even just before this meeting, I thought, actually, no, I did think about it, but it's more to myself. So, you've kind of frozen, so it's a bit weird.
Sorry, I'm just reading.
Still there? Yeah. No, it's cool. So, one thing I did is in the Bible, Christ says something like, if you follow me, if you might lose your father, but I'll give you 100 fathers. Mother. So I took that to kind of literally. So I saw at Croydon Church, like there's a lot of good men. So I would always observe and I would be learning. And one thing I did, I mentioned someone who's like an uncle to me last week. He said that he doesn't respect what my dad, he doesn't respect men who leave their family. So he's someone who's always kind of been around, it's like basically family, basically. So he raised 2 children. He's always been with his wife. He seemed like a model family. So one thing I said consciously, I kind of was like, I don't really have, this is a weak spot for me. Like, I don't really, I kind of recognize that because maybe I haven't grown up with my dad. I haven't seen that, maybe the best example. Let me consciously draw to Raymond, this uncle, because he's got a good setup. So I kind of consciously would make sure I visit him, be around it. So I'll be like, I'm learning what it is that separates the faithful men from the people who, and I'm not trying. It's not trying to criticize. Obviously, there's loads of circumstances, but I'm saying, what is it that's gonna let me learn from the people around me? So elders at my church, I can say Ainsley Stevenson,
good role models.
Good role models. I would learn. I think about what is it about them that maybe I'm not naturally going to. So I pick. Right. I would say. So a little example I thought about before is I realised that often maybe they're not too ambitious about themselves. They kind of learn to kind of hold back, family first, sort of thing. Things like that. I kind of realized, okay, that's going to be a chance for me, but recognize. So a little thing I did was consciously I said to myself, if I'm going to do something big, I need to do it before I have children. Things like that. That was my mindset.
So it becomes habit.
Yeah. Try to be preemptive. If you think that you've got issues, like, what can I do now? If I notice that some men, I don't know, Caribbean men often, it's like late in the day, they find themselves, they want to fix up and get right. I'm like, okay, don't do that. If you want to do something big, because family's going to take up time, do it beforehand. But in terms of my vision, I think, like I said, I think it was more, I kind of felt I was doing, by being a good person, trying to do the right thing, I felt it would come kind of naturally. I didn't really have a big vision, but I kind of was like, I don't know, I felt it kind of a bit obvious to me the right things to do. I had a lot of, like, even someone like people like that, examples. Yeah. But I didn't have like a big ambition of what I want to do. But the other thing is, I'm more focused probably on more generally, a bit more on that outward facing stuff. I want to be, I want my daughters to grow up and think, oh, my dad's this person in society. Okay. And that role more than, we're best friends sort of thing. So.
Thank you. Before I go on to ask someone the exact same question, I'm actually going to ask if any of the gentlemen on this right now can answer. You see the second bit about, do you feel that you fulfilled that role, that vision that you had? I want you to answer if you have not. If you feel that you haven't, if you feel there's a reason why you've not fulfilled that role, I will give my answer. But before I give mine, is there anyone that feels that they had the vision of what fatherhood was like or would be like, and they've not fulfilled that role? Leonard, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I know. It's if anyone else want to go, I didn't see anybody acknowledge. So the main reason why I didn't fulfill the role that I had in my head, that plan that I had in my head, well, not completely. There are a few. I had a plan. Yeah. But the plan, I've managed to be successful in some of the things that I had in that plan, like having my son at age 3, sitting on my lap and steering my car while I drive in first gear. Guys, you didn't hear that. That's one of the things I wanted to do. So at age 3 and 4, my son was taking turns while I'm just there, sitting there, holding the gear and holding the emergency brakes. And that's one of the excited thing I wanted to do with my son. I had that in plan from long. However, most of the things that I had in plan was for myself, my child, and his mom. So you asked if there was anything that prevented that from going through. My ex and we separated. Right. So the plans that I had, most of it was to do with involve both parents.
Right. And that's exactly similar.
Because of that, I could not have completed the plan that I had in my head.
Right. And I fully understand you, because that's similar to me as well. Not only did I have that vision, not only did I have that vision of the complete family setup, but the reason why mine didn't come to fruition is I like yours, but also it's not just that we didn't work out, because we weren't even together when she fell pregnant anyway, when we got pregnant, right? But because it wasn't of God. Like, it was out of marriage. It was out of wedlock. And I always wanted first to be married. But like I shared last week, for me, my issue, I wanted to have my cake and eat it. I was doing things outside of marriage, knowing the possibilities, knowing that, there's a real chance you could get pregnant, and I was still doing it. And then when she got pregnant, like I said, I panicked. I was like, no, we should have this baby. And now it's like, Isaac, what are you doing? Like, so I felt like I failed based on the original setup that I wanted was to be married, to be with my wife, and then have a child, right? And then obviously the rest of my story is where it is. Leonard, is there anything else you can add to yours?
Well, if I may, whenever I have the opportunity now, one of the things I wanted for my son was for him to be in church every Sabbath. Right. As much as he can. And to be a part of Adventure Club and Pathfinder Club, because I was a part of those things and I know what that can do for a young person. And I'm a living example of what a person going through club can become. So because of that, from the time my son's mom and I separated, I've dedicated every weekend to having my son. So whenever I'm in talk with a young lady, one of the things that comes up in the conversation is that I have my son every weekend. Anything that we're doing between Friday and Sunday afternoon,
Yeah.
has to be child friendly. Anywhere we going, got to be child friendly. We can go out during the week. We can go out Sunday night, but Saturday night, if it's not child friendly, I can't be there.
Got you.
And I do, and it is hard. I can tell you it is hard because I mean, meet a young lady, you wanna, Adventist Saturday night is our night.
Yes.
That's the night that all the going out and all the dates and everything happen. But I am always on date with my son. And I had to make that sacrifice because I wanted him to be in church every week.
Yeah.
And I want him to see me while I'm in church every week. I wanted to set a church example that he can follow when he grows up. I want him to be in clubs. So in order for those things to happen, I had to make that sacrifice where I put myself on the back burner for a while in some cases.
Yeah.
And have that part of my plans be successful.
Thank you. All right, sure. Cool. Got you.
I can relate to some of what is being said here. Isaac, I can appreciate the fact that you said we don't want to be, too church political correct, too much, just be plain and say the truth. Because I grew up in the church and I had in the vision, because mom and dad, they were together. I had the same vision of getting married, settling down, thinking having 4 or 5 kids, having a car, having my own house and all that stuff. I have a big job by then and all that, and to look out for my family. But things never happen that way. And I see myself going from one failure to the next, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Last week I gave a little hint of it that, when I first became a father, it was, sort of a complex situation in that, a girl I used to be with, she got pregnant and said it was mine. And then after I said, all right, then might as well I take my child, you know what I mean? Because in the culture, if a child is yours, then you're expected to take responsibility. You know what I mean? It's no ducking out, So all my brethren and all that around me said, listen, man, it's your child, you got to stand up and step up to the plate. So I step up to the plate. And then all of a sudden, the next thing happens. I heard that another man came in and said the child was his, and that child was taken away and gone to the other side of the country. And that was it. And I was just left in peace. I didn't know what was going on. You know what I mean? I actually, almost went mad. Trust me, I've gone up my head it was so critical that I wanted to damage. I wanted to do something dangerous, And anyway, things come back and seen and all of that. She came back for whatever reason, a few months down the road. She said, no, the child is mine. So there you go. The child was not mine then, so then the child is mine. So anyway, that goes on for a while. I didn't want anything to do with her. Just leave it. Didn't want to know, anybody said anything to me about it. I was ready to just shut it down.
Yeah.
And it ended up that, after years of going, that same child sort of joined himself to my family, get used to them, get to know everybody and all of that. So while I was trying to avoid this whole thing,
yeah,
he puts himself in, Anyway, what happened next?
Okay, go ahead.
It's so different. I'm going to wrap this up as quick as I can, yeah?
It's actually, I've got a question for you as soon as you finish.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
So that failure, I thought that, I'm learning my lesson. No, I'm not going to get involved in that. You know what I mean? But the way how I learn my lesson is because I have it in my mind that, that woman dissed me big time. And no other woman was going to diss me in that way. Anyway. So I sort of have woman off a bit, you know what I mean? And then my other girlfriend, she got pregnant now. And because of what had happened before and the hurt and the anger, trust me, I came, Leonard, trust me. I said, listen, that's it. No other woman is. So as soon as she said she was pregnant, I said, I don't want to know. It's not mine. I've got nothing to do with it. Go and find your baby father. I've got nothing to do with it and all that. The sad thing about that story is that a few months after that child was born, he died.
Oh, sorry.
Of all this.
Sorry, brother.
So sorry, sad.
And all that big man thing and don't want it and, nobody suddenly just fall to the floor. Because then I start to question myself, what if I had been there? What if I've stepped up and take responsibility for this child? Would that have saved his life? Would I do better? And I hurt this woman. I hurt this girl, terribly. I scarred her for life just because of what I did. And then I realized that in my own mood and in my own anger, to try and to play out what I think I was doing and give me satisfaction, it was just a total failure because I was just hurting myself and hurting others, Yeah. And then I realized that, listen, man, I've got to break all of that down, and face reality. You know what I mean? And then after that, I get married. Then we had 3 kids.
Amen.
Within the marriage, and things break down again. So it just like from one failure to the next, to the next, to the next. But I kept telling myself that from all of these failures, I am learning something out of it because I can see where I've gone wrong.
Yeah.
We can try and to do better and to show those who are coming after this, that's not the right road to go down because if you go down there, you're going to get messed up. You know what I mean? And, any family without a father is a broken family. It doesn't matter how you look at it. Our people say, single woman, they can bring their child. Yeah, but it's going to be a broken family because something is missing, and that's how, when the situation get like that, I mean, there are so many things in all of that that's happening that you can't really deal with all of them at the same time. And even now, years after that, I'm still dealing with some of these emotions, some of these hurts, some of these things that I've done wrong. I'm still trying to fix it, if you know what I mean. So,
do you know what you just said that point of still trying to fix it? Something you've said touched me. All of what you said touched me. So I'm very, very glad that you've shared that. Bro, you're getting me emotional, man. I'm glad you shared that. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Roger. But can I just, I want to encourage you on something, and I don't know the time frame. I don't know how long ago this is, but there's something you said. You said, if I was there, would my child still be here? Roger, none of us are God. None of us are God. But that's something that I'd encourage you not to, if it hasn't yet been alleviated off of your shoulders and off your heart, please leave that with God. That's not for you, sir. We don't know what would have happened, but I really don't want you ever to hold that burden, because that burden is one burden that is like amongst many, irrespective of even your biological, right? And amongst many, right? Even if we put aside your biological, I'm sure there's many that see you as a father figure. Many that see you as a father figure, and a positive one. You said in what you was talking just now, many times you mentioned about being a failure. Sir, I failure for me, if you want my honest opinion, I don't see you as a failure. I'll tell you why. And truth be told, I don't even know you, Roger. We've never met, right? We've never met. Other than last week, Thursday, we've never actually met. But I don't see it as a failure. And I'll tell you why. Because failure is someone that doesn't try. Someone that is not willing to try. That's when you can equate it to being a failure. You're not a failure. You've tried. Yes, it's not worked out for whatever reason, whether it's on your part or on your ex's part, but ultimately, you've not given up.
Yeah.
You are not a failure. You're not a failure, and you cannot carry the burden. You cannot carry the burden of what would have.
Yeah, can I?
Would have. Yeah, sorry, Rolando.
No, so I'm feeling emotional, actually. You know, I'm not, I think that's really important. I think, you know, like, we all make mistakes, right? I think about your situation, Isaac, actually, in the week. I had a piece of sort of, but you know, I was thinking, to a certain extent, you have to just be like, I made a mistake or whatever. But we all make mistakes in different ways. We all, even if it's not with our children, if it's not about children. So it's kind of, but you can't, like, you just, I think you do have to just kind of say, okay, that's right, and kind of move on and not blame yourself. And I'm trying to speak to all these different issues. It's kind of like, yes, you can always think about an alternative situation where if I got it right, things could be so good. But like Isaac's saying, it is about like the attitude of you know, even the fact that you are sorry for it or whatever you try to deal with it is a very positive thing that not maybe everyone would do. Not everyone does at all, and it's encouraging to see how everyone's kind of taken on the challenges or how they're trying to overcome them. But that's really difficult, and you just got to say sometimes, I might have people, we all mess up in different ways. And sometimes you just got to let it go, because be forgiving to yourself and merciful to yourself, because what can you do?
No, I totally agree with you, Orlando. And like you even said, Roger, that the important thing is you're learning from your mistakes. If you're not learning from your mistakes, then I don't know what you're doing. But if you're learning from your mistakes, you're involved in them. There's nothing we can do about the past now. We have to do our best for the future.
Yeah. What I can hear everybody saying, if I may think, what I can hear all of us saying is that we did our best with the information we had.
That's a big point.
For instance, Isaac, if he had more information of becoming a father and he had plans on becoming a father and someone sat him down when he started to have sex and these things and say, well, listen, these are the things that can happen. I mean, he knows those things, but really benefiting to him, he would have made a different decision. If I had the opportunity to be with my son and the entire family, my decision would have been different. If Roger had other information or had the information that he needed to make different decisions, he would have made them. But we made the decision that we made with the information that we had. And as far as we're concerned, at the time, we were making the best decision. Looking back now, we can say, well, you know what, boy, I'm sure, look, the guys who went over to after when they went through the Red Sea and they were about to go into the promised land, the 12 people that Moses sent over to check out the country. I'm sure after God made his decision that only Aaron and what the other guy named would make it into the promised land. I'm sure when they realized that, you know what, they would have done things differently, but in their minds, what they can remember from the life that they had in Egypt, strong and powerful mean you can conquer me. And that's the information, that's the mindset that they had. But now I'm sure, and you know what? One of the other things, one of the important things I hear coming out from us, myself, Isaac, Adam, Roger, is that we want it to be a part of our children's life, our child's life. We fight. Listen, if we listen to society, if we listen to some of the things that are going on, men are literally running from these responsibilities that we are literally running into.
Yeah.
That's so true, you know. I mean, I really appreciate, you know, the encouragement and, you know, the really support that you guys are giving, you know, because, you know, when I look at myself now, and Isaac touched on this point, and he was saying, you're not a failure, and you can bet there are a lot of people who see me as a father figure. I mean, I've youths coming up to me and, you know, saying, oh, they respect me, you know, how much of a, support I am, how much of a role model I am to them and all of that. And, I can understand that, and I express, and I try, to be that sort of image to them. But then, I start looking at it in two different eyes. And I said, if I can be so good a support to these children, these teenagers or these young men who are coming up, but yet with my own children, I didn't do too right. And I guess that's where the feeling of a failure coming from, because I kept looking through that lens all the time with my children. I didn't do too right. I wasn't there all the time as a father. You know what I mean? When I was supposed to be taking more responsibility, I didn't. I make some decision that wasn't right, and it doesn't really affect me. It affects the children, and not only for the current time, but even in future. So I can understand the support, the encouragement, and the vibes, which I really appreciate, guys. So I mean, I have to learn. I guess I have to learn from this to know that what is done is done. What is in the past is in the past, and I can only do something about now on the future.
Two things, Roger. Just to add, there's a Bible, a story that I think is applicable to you is the one of David and Bathsheba. And before they had Solomon, they had another child, and the child got ill, and he prayed and fasted for the child, and it died. And then he said, and then he just stopped fasting. He just stopped, and they were like to him, why aren't you weak? Why aren't you fasting anymore? Well, he said, well, the child's dead, I can't, there's nothing more that can be done. He moved on, and they had Solomon, and through Solomon's line came Christ. But the other thing is, just to kind of add to Leonard's point, but to challenge it as well, I think there's situations where, I think, Isaac, you hinted at this, that sometimes that you might know you're doing wrong, like you know what you're doing wrong. But one thing I think I've always recognized is, like, it's probably more, peer pressure is an easy thing to say, but a lot of us come from cultures that are leading us to do in the wrong way sometimes, or ways of being that are not encouraging us to live the right way. And I think sometimes we can underestimate the pressure of that. So, I've been around. How can I put it? I've been around. I've been on like when I was younger, a football tour. Guys getting up to no good, unless you kind of had that strong advice. It's very hard to kind of not bow to the pressure of generally where everyone's going. I think we've got to recognise that, because the musics we're listening to, the examples we're setting. We mentioned barbershop before we come. I've been in a barbershop once, and this guy said he wanted to settle down with his girlfriend, live with his girlfriend. The fight back from big men in a barbershop telling him how stupid he was. I'm sitting there. I couldn't even say that he should marry the woman, because I would have just been kicked. Like, I couldn't even say. They would say, "What are you crazy? You're 23. Why are you going to settle down with a girl? Stupid." And that was a conversation in a barbershop. Men saying, "Yeah, how long you been with a woman? 6 months? You not have a baby for her? You can't have a baby for you? Why not? Come on, So we don't appreciate the pressures that we're under sometimes. So we think we're failing because we don't have the information, but also, if we're in an environment that is not right and it's hard to get out, it's the odds are against us. And even if you want to do right, the pressures can kick in different ways. Do you know what I mean? So I think you've got to give yourself that as well. It's not just you. It says no man's an island, so we're in it together almost. You can't. It's hard to just buck the trend and just be okay.
Thank you, Rolando. I appreciate that, and I'm sure I might be speaking on your behalf, Roger, but I'm sure you can appreciate all of that as well. Thank you. There was a question that I've got. I think I'm going to come to Melvin. I'm going to come to you with this question. Do you think the mother of your child has or had a role to play in the way that you approach fatherhood? And if you do, can you also elaborate on why, please? By the way, really, that same question will come to you as well. So have a think of it. Thanks. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yes, you're saying if I think the mother of my child
have
a role in
had a role in how you approach fatherhood. So how you decided to be a father, or even if it's not how you decided, but just how things might have changed based on her influence or whatever her input was.
But the funny thing, I understand the question, but it would have an impact, but I don't think it would be the total influence, because I've had within myself what I would like to be and I want to be as a father. I sort of depict the role that I expected to play as a father. And of course, if you have if the mother is actually cooperative in allowing me to play that role, then it will have the positive impact, because there is so much in the role of a father that especially what we'd call the 20th century father, or the mother and father, compared to the older fatherhood. The woman in their life have actually no influence on it. They have a set principle. I go out, I work, I bring the money in, I give it to her, she go and do the shopping, she come in and she cook, she sort out the children and all those sort of things. Whereas my opinion was to be an involved father, one who has influence in both the child cognitive, social, and emotional development. You see, and that include, playing with that child, showing the love to both that child and mother. Right? So that as a father, at the end of the day, I'm actually raising a child, who is fully balanced in all aspects of that child life. So I do believe my wife will have an impact in the way she cooperate or we work together to make sure I establish and fulfill the role of a good father.
Well said, Mary. Well said.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Totally agree with that, Marvin. And, in terms of my wife, who is the mother of my children, a strong Black woman, and she has her own individual personality. But we are a team. So there will be influences on how I approach things. There's no doubting about that.
Yes.
Maybe, really, have you thought about maybe, he's looking out, he's reaching out for you. Have you thought about X, Y, and Z? Oh, maybe I didn't think about that. Maybe approach it this way. So, we have a balancing act from each other. Obviously, as a man, there are certain things I want to do, certain things I want to approach things, and I might not necessarily agree with her on certain things. But yes, it does have a positive influence in how I approach fatherhood.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate it, really. Roger, same question to you as well. Same question. Do you feel, and I think, to be honest, I think you actually touched on this, but if you do, if you don't mind, answer the same question, please.
Yeah, I can say, when I met my wife, she was at the time when I met her, she was living with an aunt of hers. Yeah.
Okay.
And she used to be the one, there doing the cooking. She was with the washing, and all that. She looked after the house and all of that. And she had some younger nephews that used to be there around her, and sometimes she would be the one taking them out, dressing them for church and all of that. So I see in her, if you understand what I mean, some characteristics there that she, the way she handled the children, the way she look after them, the way she look after her aunt's house and all of that. So all those things formulate in my mind, that's a good personality to become the mother of my children, So that sort of prompted me a bit to, to motivate then, if you would say, my role in becoming a father, because then I could see in her, a person which would be supportive, somebody who would be cooperative, somebody who is very skillful in the area, you know, taking care of the children, looking after the house, and, you know, and the ambition that she have to be successful and to, you know, and to progress in life. So, I can really say yes, from noticing these things, you know, that sort of was a positive impact, and me sort of rolling into the position of fatherhood, you know, but, you know, I just want to say quickly, because I remember Rolando touching a point about the culture we grew up in, and sometimes it is true that because of cultural practices or expectations, we try to match up with what our culture depicts or what say, because looking at the men in my community, even my own brother, you know, because my brother have about 12 kids. You know what I mean? Football team. And they're all different women, you know what I mean? So, you know, and there are other guys in my community, in my area, which, you know, was like this. And then, you know, growing up as a young man, as a youth, you don't really understand yet, you know, what is not right and what is wrong. So you tend to want to live up to what you see. And maybe that's why, you know, some of us grow up in this type of culture are so promiscuous, and we, you know, we get ourselves in trouble. And it's when trouble hits us, you know, then we realize, that's not right. You know, so, you know, as Leonard said, if we were being educated, or if we already have the information that maybe we have now, maybe we would have made some different decision, you know?
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah, I just add here as well, is that in response to that question, is that when it just brought to my attention as well that the impact my partner have and my being the kind of father I am, is that even making decision, right? If with my wife, for instance, I might want to be strict in certain ways, and she's able to actually said, comes to me to ease up. Too much strictness is not good, because of, you know, the child get confused, uncomfortably irritated, and that helps as well when you're enforcing discipline in a child, to allow them to some slack. And when a child, like I would have a tendency was to be firm. She's a good disciplinarian as well, but she was a lot more flexible than I. And I could see if I'm just slipping away, she would rein me in. You see what I mean? And that does had that impact on me, because you sometimes you get carried away, and if you don't have someone like that who have a complement your behavior, in other words, they balance you out so that you can rein in and things like that. So it did have an impact, yes, and the kind of father that I was.
Well, one thing I wanted to add as well, in terms of a lot of people have mentioned about how culture has influenced their fatherhood. Yeah. And obviously me, with my African background, will probably be different from everyone else. So I guess, I don't know, in terms of in my upbringing, you know, I had plenty of role models that I could relate to and see to. So whether it be my father, my uncles, my brothers, and not to say that maybe things weren't going on in the background, but in terms of majority of my role models were all with their wives and with their children. So that had such a positive influence and impact on me, as in that's what I wanted to do, you know.
So go on,
yeah. And I'll come back to that now. And in terms of, like, you know, even when I got married, and you know, this is not knocking anyone, I said, I if I decide to have children, I do not want anyone else raising my children. Okay, that's me. I could not fathom someone else raising my child.
Right. Agreed.
Again, I don't know if that's naive or what it is, but that's just me. And so, you know, whatever I could do to make my marriage successful, I'm going to do it. I'm not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I make mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yes.
I'm going to fight for what I have.
Right.
Yeah.
Big one,
Yes.
Rolando, you wanted to
I
jump
was,
in on
no, I
this?
was just going to say, because
Really, I love what you say, and it's something that resonates with me. But yeah, go ahead, Rolando. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Relay's been someone that I've been around Relay for a good many years now since I met my wife, because our wives are very close, and that's something Relay's. I mentioned at the beginning, an example of that I can definitely pick up. You pick that up. You can see how that he kind of interacts with his family, and so. That I guess a relative would be an example of someone who I would have kind of observe, because I kind of recognise has come from that kind of culture of very a lot of stability, and that's more. It's kind of co-signing that basically.
Cool.
Okay, so what we have with us at the moment, we have quite a few more questions to go through.
Yeah.
And if we do not have the option of having a third. The women and I are exactly happy that we having our t-shirts and having a good time. So they want to jump in and have some fun. So we need to give up next week. What we're going to try to do is to keep our answers concise.
Yeah.
Welcome, Mr. Adam. Now, just to come back to the question, I have two things quickly that I want to touch on. Confusion from Brother Jello and teamwork from Brother Relly. Now, those two things, if the role the woman play in you becoming your approach to fatherhood. Now, if that person is not a team player in that thing there, you're gonna have trouble.
Yes.
And like Brother Melvin said, it's confusion. Now, the role that woman would play to make you become that approach fatherhood in a better, or to feel comfortable in that role, you need somebody that's going to support. She needs to support you.
Yes.
Now, if you make a decision as the father of the home, of the children, you make a decision and she's not exactly comfortable with that decision, for her to keep that respect as a father in the family is to come to you after she would have sided with you, because it's a team, and the decision that your father made is the decision that we have agreed on. Come to him behind and say, you know what, I think we could have gone it this way. Or maybe you can approach that one again and let's try to change it together.
Yeah.
All right? That kind of support would not cause what Brother Jello said, confusion. And another thing that we don't do as black men, and I think we need to do more, is to show, and that is also in the training of our children, both male and female. And Isaac, I would like you to touch on this question just quickly, if you have a couple of seconds just to touch on this very question also. But if we show more affection to our wives in the home, and the wife's affection to us, that is also a part of our training for our young men, because our men are going to see how they should treat their women. And our women are going to see the way they should be treated, with you, the father, giving the mom a certain treatment in the home, as ever so often hugs, kisses, gifts. They would then be trained as how the role, how they should play it. When the girls see the way the mom are, they would know their roles, and the boys would also know their role. Adam, you want Isaac, you want to kick on this question? If you have anything to add on that question?
Yeah. So just on that, just quickly on that part about roles, I concur. Like, there's that saying, happy wife, happy life. Yeah. That's one I don't agree with personally, because it's not just about the wife. No, real talk. Roger, I'm being honest. It's because it's not just about the wife, right?
Yeah, of
so
course.
Happy wife, I don't agree with. Then there's happy spouse, happy house. I don't really agree with that, because it's more than the house. You want to live in a home. So one that I think I've coined, I've said this before, and I think I've coined it, is happy zone, happy home. Because you want to live in a home. You want to live in a home, and it encompasses both the parents and the children. But so do I feel that the mother of my child had a role to play in how I approach fatherhood? Yes. ultimately, I'll say straight up yes. And I'll tell you why. But my story isn't a good one. Like I shared last week, I don't get to see my daughter ever, right? She's 5 years young. And so growing up, all I saw is my mother and my father together. All I've known is marriage. So like you relate, I had great role models around me, and that's all I wanted to live up to, right? But then when baby girl was born, you know, there were certain things that I could not just be a father, even when I was privileged to now be in her life for the first month to a month and a half of her life. Like even like smallest things of how I'm holding her. Bearing in mind, this is both of our first child, but I'm being told how to hold the same way you're learning. And this isn't the first baby I've ever held in my life, by the way. But the same way you're learning and the same way you're holding our child, like there's this. I don't know if there's this thing whereby if the mother knows how to, but the father doesn't, and the father has to be taught. And no, I'm very capable of holding a newborn. I've held many newborns. This isn't the first newborn. This is just my first, but this is not the first that I've held, and I've never hurt one. Right. So even from things to how you change the nappy and all sorts, and I was just like, come on, right? To a point where it got to a point where even if I tried to speak up, it was an issue as though I was being argumentative. And I was like, no. And then what I've noticed around with other fathers is like the father, for instance, is not allowed to hold his child unless sometimes the mother says, here you go. And that was my truth as well. Sometimes I could not hold my baby until I was given, because mum had her time. And I was just like, you're not feeding. You're not actually breastfeeding right now. She's not your child. She's our child. And if we want to be real technical, actually, she's God's child, right? And we're blessed to bring her up in the way that we hope for her to go. But don't dictate to me when I can and can't hold our child. Like, unless you're feeding her, unless she's, you know, it's time for her to go to sleep or have a nap or what, that's totally fine. I'm not going to interfere. But I have every much right to be a father, same way you have every much right to be the mother. So my story is unkind. I'm going to try and keep it concise, Leonard. I'll try my hardest. So I did go down the route of court. I went down the route of court. Now, before I go on my story, I'm going to make this clear. I have recorded my testimony regarding my daughter, and it is out there. It's out there. And the reason why a couple of people challenged me recently, and I welcomed it. They said, "Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that?" Not in those words, but ultimately, why are you doing that? And I said this, and this is why I'm going to share it now. Same way as last week, I said, guys, don't judge my ex. That's my story with my ex. Irrespective of what you ever hear about her, and irrespective of the relationship you have with me, don't judge my ex. Because you'll meet her and you actually say she is lovely, because she is. But to me, she isn't. But that's my story. But the reason why I shared the realities of my story, as horrible and as bad as they are, is because I've touched on this, and I said last week as well as this week, that I want there to be an understanding. Like Leonard said, we've learned from what we've been given. So I do not want to ever not give onto the next generation what was not given onto me, what I have suffered, and then the next generation might be in my predicament. Whereas I can tell my story, and hopefully someone never goes through what I've been through. Because what I've been through led me to nearly committing suicide many times. Because there's a lot to it. It's deep.
Sorry about
that. Deep, and I don't want anyone to ever go through it. Right? So I'm not ever going to speak on my story in a sense of trying to get back at my ex. No, I've forgiven her. I have forgiven her. But I have to be honest for the world, so that the world can see that actually, number one, you can forgive someone irrespective of what they've done to you. And that's what we're called to do by God. And number two, hopefully through my hurt, through my trauma, through my negative story and experiences, the next person doesn't make my mistakes. I've made them for you. Don't do it. Right? So, yeah, go ahead.
No, finish. I
want you, Isaac. Isaac, I want you to keep all these recordings.
Yeah. 100%.
And all that. I want that little girl to when she is of the age where she can choose to come to you.
Yeah.
I want her to hear and see that you've been fighting all these years, because it's a mess up thing. We don't know what's going through her head. Why is everybody else having their daddy and I don't have my daddy?
Yeah.
I want her to see, but I want you to keep those videos and let her see that you've been fighting all these years so that you can change whatever's been packing into her head. You know what, Isaac? You are a great man.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
It may not be acknowledged. People may not say it out, but I'm sure there are a lot of men out there who are watching and listening to you and saying, you know what? I wish I had this kind of determination. Listen, you continue to fight that fight. One of these days, you're gonna see that fight, the fight that you've been fighting. You're gonna get your reward, brother.
Because
listen. Like, sorry, I don't know who I cut. I'm gonna let you come in. But I hear what you're saying, right? But I'll get to the crux of my point, right? My point is this: how did she influence me in being a father? What I'm gonna do, right, is a bit later I might share my testimony. In fact, if you want to follow me, anyone wants to follow me, I'll give my details so you can follow me on Instagram. We can talk, and if you want to know more about my story personally, I'll give you that. But I'll give you a crux about this. How did she influence me on my approach to fatherhood now? This is how deep it is, right? So I took her to court. And in the court, she told the judge that so she told the judge that I was kissing her, my daughter, on her lips. And I said, yes, I did. 100%. She's my daughter. She's my child. I did kiss her. Now, you see babies when they do that with their mouth, they're like, but babies do, newborns, they do that, right? And then what my ex actually said is that I allowed for my daughter to do that in my mouth. And I said, what? What is wrong with you? Like, of course, hold on. Let me land, right? Of course I was kissing her, but if ever she'd done that, I'm moving my head like, come on, this is ridiculous. There's not a parent, whether it be a mother or a father, that I know that doesn't do it personally. But irrespective if no one else does, I don't care. I will do it, and I'll do it to my next child, right? But let me go on, right? She also said at one point that when I was cleaning my daughter, I was using a wet wipe, and there was blood on the wipe, right? There was blood on the wipe, and I didn't understand. I was just like, whoa! And I showed it to my ex. I was like, what's wrong? Like, she's bleeding. And for me, I didn't know. The health visitor came over to the house, right? And bearing in mind, this is all in court, so I've skipped a whole chunk, right? This is now in the court. And she said, yeah, the health visitor said, yes, so many newborns, girls, experience their first periods because their hormones are not yet balanced, right? So that's what the blood was. But what my ex actually told the judge was that I was examining her vagina, my daughter's vagina, right? That's what she said. And I was just like, you're crazy. Anyway, I'll go on. She said there was a point where we went away to a beach in Kent. Loads of people from my home church. We went away to a beach just a day out. This was one of the first times I got to spend some quality time with my daughter. I've got the videos, I've got the pictures, I've got everything, Leonard. I've got it, right? And it was a beautiful time. She actually told the judge on that trip, I shook my daughter. That's what she said. She said, I shook my daughter. And the reason why I'm sharing all of this is because the way it's now affected me is, do you know, I've got one of my closest friends, my closest male friends, who's like a brother to me, right? I've found it hard to go to his house to see his son, his newborn son. I found it hard to go to his house to see his newborn son. I find it hard to go to church, and there was one of my greatest scholars there, right? I messaged him just yesterday, so he knows who he is. I messaged him yesterday, and he got back to me late last night. So I'm saying that because he knows who he is. I don't want to share his name. I've not yet held his child. I've not yet held his baby. He's the first one that brought me into the church. Once I was in the church, made me feel welcome, him and his wife. Lovely people. I've not held their baby because I cannot, because I feel so awkward, the fact that I have not got that relationship with my daughter, and also what my ex has tried saying onto me. I also have got a very good friend of mine, right? I've managed to pluck up the courage to go over to their house and see their child one time. They live maybe 5-10 minutes drive from my house. And every other time I was putting it off, and I've not even been able to confess this to them and say, this is the reason. It's affected me. It's heavily affected me in being a father. The only time I truly believe that I will be okay is when God blesses me again to have children of my own. I'm around my beautiful niece. My beautiful niece, she's around. My beautiful nephew, he's around. And there's times I still struggle. I still listen to her and having a conversation with my mother, and I struggle to go there immediately and just jump up and say, hey, and go and say, hey, Malachi, or hey, Azariah. I struggle. These are my blood. And I still struggle up to today. This is 5 years on, right? 5 years on. I'm struggling because it's a horrible story, right? Yes. I do not wish this on even my worst enemy, and I don't really have enemies. Well, I mean, I might be something. Anyway, I do not dislike people, right? I try and resolve things. If I had an enemy, I wouldn't wish this on them. The trauma that I have lived, the trauma that I have seen, and that's why I shared last week that there was a retreat that I was away on where I saw the Black fathers, and I was so inspired, and I was so, motivated by Black fathers who aren't given enough credit. We aren't given enough credit. Black fathers are not given enough credit, right? There was a question I was going to ask you. I know, Rolando, you want to come in, right? And I'll give you it. I'll give you the time, bro. Right? Cool. There was a time when, I was going to ask a question. When last did you cry? Right? Because that's another thing. When last did you, as a Black father, when last did you cry? And I'll tell you, it was last week for me. And I so hope that my boy is on this call so he can hear what I'm going to say. Last week for me, there's a guy, I'm on this group that I jump on, right? It's called the Wise Virgins group. It's an open forum for people, right? And we all go on every Thursday. And this guy shared his testimony. And when I told you mine and his matches up, his daughter is 12 years young, right? But he's not seen her for 5 years, right? So the last time he saw her was when she was 7. But last week, he actually reached out to me. Late last week, he reached out to me. After three attempts, I believe this was the third one, he finally got to see his beautiful girl. And the tears that welled up in my eyes, seeing.
Yeah, I understand, man.
We with you.
I understand.
We are with you, brother.
Seeing, seeing his testimony, the way it hit me.
Yes.
The love. Oh man, sorry.
Yes. That's okay, brother. It's okay.
Sorry, bro. Let it go, brother. Let it go. Let it go.
Don't worry.
Let it go. Let it go, my. Seeing the love. He sent me a voice note, and he was crying. And if it wasn't for COVID, if it wasn't for quarantine, I would have jumped in my car and I would have asked him for his address. I would have driven straight to his house. And mark my words, I would have hugged him and embraced him so tight because I'm so happy for his story. So happy to see the love that he's finally, after 5 years,
yes,
seeing his queen. And he's able to build a relationship. He shared with me, right? He shared with me last week that when he first saw her, he reached out to her and she said no. She said no. And she wasn't ready. And I respected her truth. And even more than that, I respected the fact that he respected her truth. But the beautiful thing about this story? When he was leaving and he said goodbye, she turned around and ran up to him and embraced him so tightly. And the love in his voice when he was sharing his story and when he was sharing his testimony, and the weight was hitting me. It's encouraging me knowing that I don't care if my daughter adds 13 more years to her life and embraces me at the age of 18, as long as she is healthy. As long as she is growing in God, I would love for that embracing to happen. It doesn't matter as long as she is healthy.
Yeah.
Guys, ladies, anyone listening, please do not ever use a child as a tool, irrespective of what may have ever happened between you and your partner. Men, do not ever use your child as a tool. Women, please do not ever also use your child as a tool. You are not hurting the partner, you are hurting your child. You are hurting your child, and it is learnt behavior, because my ex grew up without her father. And that is what she's now happening. It's a circle, it's a cycle, sorry. And that's what's happening with our daughter, right? There was the last time I tried reaching out. To my ex on the 31st of March, 4 days after my birthday. The reason why I chose to do it, right, is because my birthday, 27th of March, I had recently lost a cousin. I recently lost a cousin to COVID. 20 minutes before she passed away, right? 20 minutes before she passed away, she was messaging people, checking in on them. And then 20 minutes later, she died. And it hit me, and I was just like, Isaac, you can't not try. You cannot not try. Reach out. And I had a friend from another church, from Chiswick Church, reach out to me saying that she's offering classes, English and writing classes for children. She knows I've got a daughter, and maybe I should reach out to her mother. And that gave me the confidence. And I said, yes, I'm going to reach out. And I reached out. And her mother didn't want to know. Her mother didn't want to know. She didn't want to know. She didn't want me to speak to my, I didn't even ask to speak to my daughter. In fact, from the second I called her and she realized it was me on the phone, that was it. She was just turned very anti towards me, right? And I was trying to be so amicable, so civil, and trying to say, listen, I'm not here to argue. I ain't gonna lie, this is about Anaya. That's what her name is, but she goes by the name of Laurel by her mother. And I said, I'm not here to argue at all. I'm just trying to offer something. You're not even giving me a chance to explain what it is. She was like, hurry up, what do you want to explain? And I didn't like how I was being spoken to, but you know what? I swallowed my pride and I said, no, the bigger picture is our daughter. So I tried telling her no, she's fine. She can speak, she can write, she can read, fine, she's fine. And she locked off.
Oh no.
My daughter's birthday is June the 7th. And my family have tried reaching out to her. I also decided to try and call her, of course. And again, she's not giving us the time of day. So my daughter's not being brought up knowing this side of her family.
Sorry to cut you. What happened at the courts?
At the courts. Thank you. At the courts. All right. So let's face it.
They always favor the mother.
So let's face it. Let's say. In fact, not let's say. Reality is, the judge went with what my ex was saying. The judge believed everything, word for word, what my ex is saying. So the judge believed that I allowed my daughter to stick her tongue in my mouth, and I allowed for it to happen. The judge believed that I examined my daughter's vagina. The judge believed that I shook my daughter. There is something else as well that I can't remember right now, but there was a fourth thing that the judge ultimately said, yes, all of this. Right? And then I said, wow, okay. Now, bearing in mind, I work in education, right? So I teach dance, right? And I also work with kids that have got behavioral issues and special needs. So the question has to be asked, how are you allowed to work in education? Because you have to go through a DBS, right? Roger, you're nodding, right? Yeah, right? So how am I allowed? Because the judge said, while she does not believe there's any foul play here, there was nothing of a sexual issue here at hand, right? What she said is, and this was where I could have, if a word that could have been said was it ever made me die, other than what had already been said, it was these next words. The reason why the judge is going along with what my ex said is because of this. What single mother would make these things up?
Hey.
Wow.
That's what was said. That's what was said in the court. And at that moment, I wanted to say, a single mother who's trying to get back with the father and the
you didn't have to say nothing. I'm sorry to cut you.
That's what I wanted to say, and I didn't.
You have to say
I
nothing.
wanted to say that, right? And I couldn't believe what I'd heard. I was just like, pardon? Like, What single mother? Do you really need me to get cases, like cases upon cases of how many situations there is? But the story's even deeper, right? Because I am going to share something now. This part's very deep, and many people often say to me, "Isaac, don't ever talk on this." And in fact, one of my brothers came over to the house, and he said, "I wouldn't share that part. I wouldn't ever share that part." And I've shared this on Hood Lessons, and I'm going to share it again because this is about being a father.
Mm-hmm.
So, my ex also tried accusing me of something. So, on the 25th of September, sorry, not 25th, on 23rd of September, 2015, I was involved in a very, very bad car crash, and I ended up breaking my back in that crash, right? I broke my back, and at 3 a.m. the following week, on the 30th of September, I had my road is about 150 to 200 meters long. My whole road was, I mean, you would have thought I was the modern day Osama bin Laden at that moment, the biggest terrorist. I had police officers of every kind, you name it, plainclothes, FBI, whatever, MI5, you name it, they were on my road. 3 a.m. I was woken up and I was told there are police outside for you. I've never been in trouble with the police. I'm not saying this makes me any better than the next person, right? I've never tasted alcohol. I've never tried drugs. I don't even take paracetamol, guys. I literally don't. When I say clean, I mean clean, right? So when I hear police are there for me, I was confused. But then I racked my brain and I thought they was actually coming for me for a bus lane fine, a bus lane ticket that I hadn't paid. But I had actually paid it and I had the receipt. So I actually thought it was bailiff. So I was just like, no, to my brother, don't let them in because they come in, they're going to try and ransack the house and I've already paid. I'm going to go out the back and go out and meet them on the road so they don't get into the house. Do not let the bailiffs in. Anyway, I'm in my back garden. I've got my back brace on, right? Struggling. And then I look through the window. My brothers let them in. I was like, what is wrong with you? Anyway, they catch me outside. I go out the back and then I said to them, don't touch me. I've got a broken back and I've got a broken wrist. And they respected that. They didn't touch me. But they told me I'm under arrest. And I was like, what? What for? Guys, viewers, they told me I'm under arrest for 3 allegations of rape.
You gotta be kidding me.
3 allegations of rape. And on my life, at this moment, I nearly died. I didn't know why. I didn't know who. But then they read the dates. They said between 2013 to 2014. So I was just like, whoa. What I wanted to do on that, and that very instance was go straight into my pocket, get my phone and say, listen, I've got someone that can vouch for me. Because actually, I mean, I've been in a relationship in this time. This is now 2015. So these allegations are 2 years down the line. So I was just like, listen, let me just go in my phone. Let me quickly phone someone. Obviously, you're not allowed to. So I'll go to a police cell, the police station, and I'm standing up. And I'm looking at the paper that the leading officer's reading out. And I'm reading down. And when I saw the name who's accusing me, I nearly died. Any guesses?
Oh, your ex.
Ex.
My ex, yes, the mother of my child.
Ex, yeah.
This arrest happened less than a month after she refused to let me hold our daughter when I'd gone round to their house to she was going to come and stay at my house for a week, right? And I'd gone round to their house in August, on the 25th of August. 25th of August, so just over a month it happened, right? And she refused to let me hold our daughter. I was there begging for 3 hours. I had my mother and my brother on the phone, and she would not, for 3 hours, would not let me hold our daughter, to a point where eventually I left. They have called the police on me, but the police said, no, like, you invited him in. He didn't break in and enter. You invited him in. He was welcomed in, and he's left on his own accord. So there's no, anything wrong here. He's not broken the law. So what she was doing is creating a case against me that I did not know about, right? And so I'm gonna move forward again. So yes. So at that point, when I realized who it was now, I started like smiling and laughing, and they couldn't understand it. The police officers like, this is not a joke, like, this is serious. I said, guys, I'm very, very clear that this is not a joke, but I have nothing to worry about. Anyway, long story short, I was locked up with a broken back for over 12 hours. I was my solicitor came, and she even said to me, once I told her the ins and outs of the story, she said, "You do not even need to you don't need me to speak. You're very articulate. You can speak on your own behalf." And that's what I've done to the investigating officer. Now, once the officer done her thing, she said, "I'm released on bail." I was released from September till December. She called me a week earlier, prior to my release date, my bail date, actually, expiration, and said, "Yeah, all charges are dropped." And I was just like, okay, we've done our investigation and we realized that there's no foul play here. Basically, it's all false. Then she asked me a question. And the question was this: do you want to press charges for defamation of character and perverting the cause of justice? What do you think I said?
No.
Why do you think I said no? Why do you think I said no?
Because you think of the fact that
For your daughters, eh?
your daughter.
My daughter,
For not just your daughter, she raises your child.
Thank you, Adam.
She raises your child.
Irrespective of me and what I would do. And let's not be fooled here, because if my daughter was not involved, yes, I would have done that. If my daughter was not part of the play, yes, I would have done that. But irrespective of me, there's someone much bigger than myself. And my ex comes second after my daughter's priority in that moment, because my daughter is priority. But the reason why my ex becomes secondarily to that is because she is raising our child. And I cannot afford for my daughter in the first few months of her life to go without her mother. So I had to put Isaac aside, and I had to let my whole, principles go based on what is the actual right thing to do. So my daughter had to come first, and then my ex had to come before myself in that respect as well, right? People, what I'm trying to say here is, at the end of the day, things are going to get tough in life. Things are going to get tough in life. And people always say to me, you don't know what hurt is. You don't know what pain is. And sometimes I'll say, you do not know people's story. You do not know the struggles they have. We come from a generation whereby, well, it's not even our generation, whereby, the right thing to do is to wear the suit, and act as though, have this facadical demeanor and act as though because I'm wearing a suit, I'm living a righteous life. It means nothing if your heart's not right. It means nothing if your heart's not right. Be the best version of yourself that you can be. Be the very best version of yourself that you can be. I've not shared my testimony on here because I'm not trying to get any fans. I'm not trying to get anyone to dislike my ex. I will say this again, and I'll keep saying it. As odd as it sounds, she is actually a lovely woman, and she's actually done a great job. Bar the fact of what she's done with me and my family, she's done a great job raising our princess. She's done that, right? She said some horrible things to me personally, right? But ultimately, by my daughter, if you put me and this situation aside, my daughter's being raised into a great young lady. I could not negate that. And if any of you met her tomorrow without knowing who she is, you would have praises to sing about her, right? So the story is deep. My testimony is deep. And yes, you see me in Brixton or in Balham, and you see me around, and I am the clown. I am the one that's always bantering. I am the one before we came on this call, guys, you saw me. I'm always laughing. I'm always happy. I go by the happily broken man because I'm happy that I've got life. I'm happy that I've got a chance to come correct again. I'm happy that I've got a chance to be in my beautiful twin. My twin is my mother, by the way. I look like my mother. I love the fact that I look like my mother, right? And she is one of my role models. And I've got a great family set up. And I'm happy that I've got a daughter that have been privileged to me.
Adam?
Isaac, do you not ever fear that some of the things you've gone through would rub off on your daughter in terms of teach her certain morals? Because that's morals at the end of the day, to be lying and saying stuff like that. Do you ever fear that she will teach your daughter that?
I do fear that. But one thing, I wouldn't say I fear it, actually. I'm aware that that's a possibility. but I'm honestly very spiritual in the fact that I believe in God more so than any negativities, brother. So God moving in my daughter is more important to me than anything that my ex may bestow upon her, based on her learnt behavior from herself having an absent father and any trauma that she's, experienced. But yeah.
That is big. That is huge. And I'm sure a lot of our young men and even our older men are listening and thinking, boy. And you know, one of the things I like about testimonies, sometimes you listen to somebody's testimony and you're like, boy, I'm not going through anything. I'm living a good life compared. I ain't got no worries. I mean, I thought I was having a hard time. I'm telling you the truth, and this is my testimony to you, Isaac. I thought I was having a hard time with my son and only getting to see my son in the weekend. I see my son in the weekend, and some of the things I want to do with my son I can't do. But listening to your testimony, brother, I have nothing to complain about. But before I go to Adam, because I want us to keep going. Before I go to Adam, I want you guys to know, you see what the way the judge answered that question, the way the judge deal with you. They have a plan, divide and conquer plan. They know when we're together as a family, we are strong and they cannot bring certain things to us. And they know what they're doing. You see, they said the judge said, which single woman would do that? The single woman that knows that the government is going to take care of her. That kind of single woman would make a decision, the one that she made. So that question that that judge asked you, they know why she made that decision. If they weren't giving her a house and all the support that they're giving her, she wouldn't make a decision like that. She wouldn't want you not to be a part of your child's life. They know what they're doing. That is their plan. They know that a young lady that does not have a father in her life, open to anything. A young man that does not have a father in the life are open to anything. So the first opportunity they have or they get to set you away from your family, they would do that. I'll take you quick, Rolando, before I ask Adam the very question.
Okay, I just want to quickly say, I had this thought about what I'd advise you, Isaac, if I knew you pretty well, but the way I would probably deal with it, approach something like if it was me, I think I would be maybe less, I don't know, callous enough, whatever, just to say, I used to like football, strategic, this is how I do it. Cut my losses, fine, it's not going to work out. But I would let her mother know, good or bad, whatever, she come 18, she's going to know the truth, I'm going to take her back. I will, whether it's money, whether it's whatever, know that from the time she hits age, I will do whatever I can, and she'll be mine from then on. Yeah. So it is a long game, but that mum would know that that's what's coming. So just do your best until she's 18. I'm coming for you. That's how I would be.
Yeah. Can I just quickly say as well that she need to understand that she's hurting that child as well, because she's denying him of the love and care of denying her of the love and care of her father, and she actually turning should I say, not looking at the fact that the influence of the father in the life of any child, right, brings stability, and it's helped to develop a wholesome view of life. And that's why as Rele was saying, is that I was a little concerned as well, because the three things that most parents do not want to develop in their child is lie, disobedience, right, and indiscipline. Right, and her behavior does project those characteristics, and I just pray that she don't see and any of those elements affect her in her future life. And I do believe when she reached that age of 18, without Isaac even making all the move, that she will make the move to find more or to get more for her father. And I think that's when she now will realize the table is going to be turning on her. Because I think every young person who grew up in this life reach a stage where they want to meet, they want to see, or they want to be with their mother or their father, whichever one it is that missing in their lives. And it will come a crucial point where I think she will take the initial move to be with her father.
So I just want to say one thing more, is that even for me, I haven't been around my dad, and probably if someone was to say who was at fault, they would say my dad probably. I still want to know my dad, and even though he doesn't make an effort that much, any little effort at age of 36, and even at age of 36, if we've never had a relationship, if he wanted to take me to whatever, I would do it. So I mean, it's a game of patience and a long game, but the mother has got more to worry than you do long term. God spare everyone's life, because when it comes out, it doesn't look good for her.
And she'll have to answer some question too. She will have to answer quite a bit of question from her.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
That's so true. You know,
Isaac,
I feel
let me tell you what's going on, brother.
I really feel
there are a lot of people who are understanding, who are there in the background, they are feeling you. Persons are saying thank you. I'm reading in the comments, they have women out there who are saying thank you for your honesty. You understand? There are young men out there who are saying they are happy that you are dishonest. You're dishonest. They're happy for your vulnerability. Yeah, these are some of the things that our young people and even our older people were lacking. And on behalf of those who cannot say this directly to you right now, I know they will do it after. Thank you very much, brother.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. And listen, like everyone else is saying, you're gonna have that day. Listen, I read in the quarterly this morning. Was it yesterday, when Jeremiah went off to fast and pray for the people of for the Jews? Yeah, the angel came to him up because he fasted for 21 days. The angel came to him and said, "You know what? The first day that you started fasting and prayer, we heard God heard you." And we already started working, but the king was preventing us. Let me tell you something. The devil knows that when you have the opportunity to express the love that you have for your daughter, there's gonna be an explosion. And he's fighting, but let me tell you something. He is fighting, and the Lord is fighting your battle. You understand? Allow her to have her time.
Yes.
Let her enjoy this time. When right now that child she's confused, she don't know what's going on. When you're gonna have your say is when she's reached to that age where she can decipher between good and evil. And when the mother continue to talk and you start to talk, she's gonna realize who allow the devil to use them.
Probably before 18.
Don't worry. Be faithful, brother. It's gonna take a while, like someone was saying to you. It's a long game, but in the end, God is going to come true for you. Adam.
So,
did you get the question?
Good evening, my brothers.
Evening.
Give me the question in totality again.
The question: do you think the mother of your child has a role to play in the way you approach fatherhood, and why?
Okay, so the why is long. And I know my brother shared his testimony. The simple answer is yes, 100%. And though I share, trust me, Isaac, trust me, my bros, trust me, Uncle Melvin, because even though we're all brothers here, that's Uncle Melvin, so that's not a contemporary for me. Maybe that's Uncle Melvin. That's an elder head. The way that the mother of your child, for want of a better term, allows you or complements, let me use that term, complements your fatherhood, definitely is effective on the way you actually father that child.
Yes.
I don't have a unique situation of my own, in that I'm married. We have 2 daughters. Another one is on the way. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
And I have a son who's older than they are, and his mother is not my wife. So the way she or her effect on him definitely affects the way I father him. I had my wealth of experiences as well with him, and I shared some last week, and it has affected how I've been able to relate to him, to like and some people see it as simple. It really is not. Like I don't see it as being simple at all. Well, you know, boys need their fathers, and you need he crying out for a male figure. Okay, cool. What do I do then? What does Isaac do then when his mother, who is not with me, who is not with Isaac, has the or has her relationship with another male, and then how's the relation with my child and that male? That affects how I will have to father my child and what's not. So it's very complex, and we touch on some the refusal of being able to see your son. I experienced that. Being ostracized ridiculously on social media, I experienced that. For those who miss my piece of my testimony last week, my son wasn't my son until he was 4. And then when I try to like Isaac just shared, his daughter not knowing his side of the family, my son don't know my side of the family. Like, I mean, know my side. You know, when you know your cousins and everything. And we live in Barbados. And okay, we island small and everybody don't know everybody. But we can all relate with the black community, because we here talking as black fathers. We can relate, whether we live in Barbados or we live in Japan. You know your family. You know who your family is.
Yes.
I wasn't able to do that with my son. It goes even deeper. Leonard mentioned something last week, and be able, you know what I mean? Like when his then wife was pregnant, you know what I mean? Buy Chelsea shirt, buy ball, buy so on, so forth. Even me trying to introduce certain things into his life. Uncle Melvin talk about discipline, disobedience, and telling lies. When you have a mother that's willing to do those things, even if they don't introduce it to the child directly or tell the child lies about the father, God got to come and tell me, this is my personal testimony now. God got to come and tell me, and let's pray and hope, because I refuse to bash his mother as well. But God got to come and tell me that her expressions about me to anybody else, or her attitude towards me, my son has not witnessed. And my son is 15 now. My son is no fool. My son gives trouble now.
Yeah.
And before, whereas it was difficult in that I was told directly he would never go to St. Lucie with you. St. Lucie is a parish in Barbados. That's where I live. He would never go to St. Lucie with you. But now that he's given a little bit of issues and what's not, he's growing up, he's getting big, he's showing himself, and so on. So should be happy for me to take him. It's extremely difficult to, and it's not just the distance either, because in relating, you would want to introduce certain things to him. The walk of Christ, you know what I mean? Bring him to church, bring him to Pathfinders. Everybody doesn't see Adam, oh, big super pathfinder. What's not? My son is 15. I was the director of my club when I was 18 years old. He's 3 years away from that and has never consistently spent time in Pathfinder Club. I don't know about y'all, but that has hurt me. When he went to secondary school, I gave him a simple little mandate and asked his mom, make sure that he do these kind of things. Because I know he like to play sport. He's a boy, so he might not be fully focused on academics, but he's not stupid. And once he puts his mind to it, he does extremely well. You're going to do good in your schoolwork, buddy. Pick a sport to play, and you're going to good cadets. If I was a cadet, them 3 things. Once you do them 3 things, you can do whatever you want after that. Mom don't ensure that them things happen. And then will tell me that, oh, you can't force these things on Seth. And so the effect of fatherhood, like I have a chalk and cheese comparison, and okay, blessed. I'm glad God blessed me with a wife that gave me beautiful children. But in comparison, which I really don't want to even have to do, if we decide, and notice I said we decide such and such is going to happen with our child, what are we going to do when we get there? Or they have to go to school. What is the decision here? It's very, very different when you have, with my son, for argument's sake. It is, he going to school, he going to need this today, I want this from you. And I'm like, but hang on, that may not be the best course of action. Let's discuss this. It's not a discussion. So little things like that makes it extremely complex. And I really, really big up Rolando for his answer and the long game, because it's sad, but sometimes you just go buckle down, take it as it come, continue to fight, and say, you know what, when he's of the age, or in Isaac's case, or in Big Brother Roger case, because we know he got a similar case as well. When they get to the age where they can understand fully, when I explain my side and put my side at their feet, then they will allow them do what you want there. But know that I can be here for you regardless.
Amen. Yes.
That's all I can do. Because
I can feel so much.
Just to say, sorry.
I just want to quickly say, Isaac, man, I can feel your pain, and you know what hit me in your story, and when you said that, you keep trying and you keep reaching out, and then I see Christ keep reaching out for us, and even when we don't know Christ, He still loves us. And that love has the power to keep that connection going, So even though your daughter might not know you really as a father and daughter should, that love you have from her or for her, that connection is there all the time. So anytime the gate or the opportunity is open up, that line of love will bring you two close together, and the bonding will be there, and the father won't be able to stop it, because love is stronger than our problems. You say with love, we can what? The Bible said what? You can avoid a multitude of sin. So therefore, I would encourage you, my brother, to
thank you,
to keep trying and hold on in there. Because all of us have a different issue. But I believe that the fact that we are all here on this platform speaking about our different experiences, and we have the common factor that all of us come to the knowledge of knowing who Christ is. And maybe that's what holds us, in the position to know that, listen, I've messed up. I've not done things right. And, I've been hurt there and I've been hurt here. But because of Christ, I won't give up. Because I'll fail, but because of Christ, I'll continue to do what I can and do my best. And if we guide our life with that line, because of Christ, then I don't think we can get it any better of being a father if we govern our fatherhood and trace it after the example of Christ.
Thank you, Roger. I don't know if there's anyone that wanted to quickly jump in, but I am gonna just say this now. I'm gonna ask one more final question. But I'm gonna put the question. I'm gonna put 3 questions in one, right? I'm gonna put 3 questions in one, and I'm gonna ask one more final question. Is that right, Leonard? Yeah, just so that we can wrap up. It's the wrapping up. So I'm gonna ask Leonard. You're on mute. Yeah. All right. So here's what I'm gonna do. Right.
Are you going to number 10?
Let me check that one. Let me check if it's number 10. No, I'm not going to number 10. What I'm actually going to do is, if you go to the next part, I'm actually going to ask question 3, 4, and 5 in one question. For due to the time, I'm going to answer question 3, 4, and 5 in one question, and just going to go through you all, starting with Roger, then Melvin, then yourself, Leonard, then Relay, then Adam, and then Rolando, and then I guess I'll share mine as well, and then I'll pray to close. I'll do the thanks, pray to close. All right, so guys, listen.
Adam, before you ask that question, can I just share a few of the comments quickly?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you've seen that message, right? Yeah. So yeah.
Quickly, some people are crying out. They're saying we definitely need a part 3. They said wives need to understand that these talks are needed for the men.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people totally agreeing. Some people are asking, how could someone hate Isaac? Question. They're saying, Isaac, we appreciate your honesty. And you're vulnerable, and being vulnerable to you are now vulnerable you are being. I pray that your testimony does teach those upcoming, and that's all of our praise to you, Isaac. Someone saying, "Oh yes, we're very sorry about this, Isaac." People, listen, Isaac. Your support is huge. You have the 7 of us here. And all those on the other medias, they are saying, we are with you. Yes. They are saying those that are with you are more than those that are against you.
We must pray for you before we leave. Okay. Let's have a prayer.
So yes. Basically that's it. Everyone, they are all agreeing and saying, you know what, God will take care of you. Go right ahead and ask your questions, brother.
Yeah, thank you, guys. We do not have a lot of time, so thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the viewers. Thank you for your support. I do believe God has me as well, for sure. God does have me. So, guys, really quickly, I'm gonna actually press you that you need to just give, even if it's 1-word answers. Please, sorry, forgive me, but give 1-word answers. But here's the questions that I'm gonna ask you. So what would you say to the mother of your child? What would you say to your father? And what would you also say to your child or children? 3, mother of your child, father, your child or children. Just quick 1 sentence. Okay. All right. Answer it correctly. Actually, I've just been told. Answer it correctly. So Roger, answer it correctly. Still be mindful of time, but give us a complete answer. So what would you say to your father? Sorry, to the mother of your child, to your father, and to your child or to your children? What would you want them to all know or hear?
Okay, yeah, all right. So to the mother of my child or my children, I would say, you've done a good job raising them children. I'm really proud of what they turn out to be and how successful they are. And I appreciate what you've done. But also you must be mindful of how you reflect on them, the image of their father, because that can either praise to hurt them or make them stronger. In the sense that if If your reflection of their father to them is negative, then that negative thing can dwell with them, for a long time. And if they find out the truth of knowing who the real father is, then that impact can also make it look bad on you as the mother. So you have to be careful of what you say to the children, how you reflect the image of the father before them, right? That's what I would say to her. What I would say to my dad, bless his heart, he's passed off now. I would say, you've done a good job. You have brought us up well. I've seen you as a man, you're always there for your family. And even when things was tight, you're still able to make it work within the home. We always have food. We always have a shelter over our head. And you weren't lazy. You were always on the go, trying to look something, trying to put food on the table and trying to provide for us. You didn't have much talk with me about the whole issue of the birds and the bees. The most that my father has ever said to me is, if you're going to be with somebody, look somebody who can help you. That was my sex talk from my father, But then later on, when I look at it, I could see what he was trying to say to me there. So I appreciate what he has done. I appreciate the examples that he has taught us and the way that he has grown us up to sort of look out for each other, love each other, support each other, and be there for each other. What I'll say to my children, first, that I love them. I love them dearly. I love them with all my heart, all my soul, and all my mind. And though I might not have done everything right by them that I should have done, but I still love them. And I will try my endeavor best to make right what was wrong or try to do better where I fail, But I'll also counsel them that, listen, here is some of the mistakes that I've made. In life, things are going to come before you. Try and choose or make decisions that will bear positive on your future, that will benefit you, that give you good rewards. Don't make the mistakes that I make and mess up the way I messed up, but try and do better. And at all times, try to be yourself. Don't be influenced by others, because some of the times peer pressure can get you to do things, and the end result is not good, it's not nice, and it get you in trouble. Try and be yourself and make your own decision in what is right or wrong. So that's what I'll say to the children.
Thank you. Melvin, same question to the three. What would you say to your mother, to the mother of your children, to your father and to your children? So I know I said to Roger full answers, and thank you, Roger. I appreciate it. Can we just keep it as?
I'm sorry to disturb. We literally have 2 minutes.
Okay, I will quickly say I would reassure my wife her importance in the family structure. She's like the cement in the brickwork. It holds things together, and it's important. She's important. She's loved, and for my father. Well, he was an excellent person, and I will let him know I appreciate all what he's done for me to help me to be what I am.
Children?
For my children, now I would enforcing them the importance of valuing themselves, to have ambition, be respectable, and aim high, and to do the best they can to be a positive influence in society.
Sure. Thank you. Leonard, one word, mother, father, daughter. Mother, father, children.
Listen, I don't have children, but I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to say I would say to my father that I wish you have taken the opportunity to learn how to be a man and to pass that information to me, and not having me to learn those things as I go along and from other people.
Okay. I am sorry. I do want to come to you three.
But I know time.
Yeah. If you've got one word answers, throw them. One word answers. That's it. One word. Go really.
No, it's not even one word. So no. But, I've love for my family. Just love. You know?
Yeah. Love.
Adam.
It's
Love?
again to the mother of my child. I wish we were mature. I wish we were mature.
Yeah.
To my father, I appreciate all the effort that he do to show me, and to my children, the love I have for you will cause me to do anything for you that I can do.
Yeah.
Amen. And Rolando, what was yours?
Love.
Okay, I'll quickly say mine. To my father, I will say that I miss him, but I love him dearly. To the mother of my child, I'll say I'm sorry for anything that happened between us, and I do forgive you. And to our child, I will say, Anaya Laurel, I love you, I miss you, and I look forward to the day of being your father truly in your life.
Amen.
Really, I've been told to give you a chance, so go ahead, sir.
Well, for my mother and my children, I keep smiling. She's always smiling. Keep smiling at everything you do and how you raise children. Keep smiling. My children, again, like Adam said, there's nothing I wouldn't do for my children. I love them dearly. My father, the respect I have for my father, the respect everyone has for my father, I love so much, and he's taught me to be the man that I am.
Amen. Rolando, go ahead as well, sir. Quickly, go ahead.
It's a bit hard. To my father, I think I see his qualities, and I do really appreciate him. I think he's a special person. To my wife, I think we've got really good complement. We complement each other really well. I think we can go really far, and I think we with love and commitment, we're on a good track. My daughter, I think she's special. Yeah.
Cool. So guys,
Isaac, Leonard, I have to say this to my wife. Thank you for being so amazing.
Amen. So guys, thank you. I'm going to quickly pass it on to Leonard before he passes it back on to me, and then I'll close in prayer. Leonard.
Yes, sir.
Next week's program. Can you plug it, please?
Next week program. Well, next week, the women.
Yes, sir.
The women are going to come out, and they're going to be as open as possible as they can.
Yeah.
And I believe in parts of the women's program, they're going to let us know how they feel about the way we expressed ourselves for the past 2 weeks. And they are going to they're going to speak up on some of the challenges that they are having as mothers. Over to you, guys.
All right. Cool. So guys, I just want to personally thank all of you, Roger, Melvin, Relay, Adam, Rolando, of course, Leonard, God above all. I want to thank God. I do want to thank in the background that you cannot see, Jess. I want to thank Kelly. I want to thank John. I also want to thank Amanda from last week. Forgive me.